what is called form validation. Form validation is the process of validating the input data, what the user is actually entering on the input. And I would like us to use some events. Yes, all the events we'll be using in this JavaScript just on click event, but there are other events we can actually use with our elements on web page. Alright, so let's see how we can quickly do some other things here before we design the page properly. I think okay, very good. So we stop at this get user input. Alright, so now what we want to do that is this. We want to check everything user is typing in this what's it called, the full name input box, and we want to get every bit of key or letter the user will be typing, and it will be displaying it in our console log. So let's just inspect this guy. Alright, so let's go back. Now we have get user input. This is a method or the function that is called when the user click on submit button. But now we want to create another function. Now I'll be using another method to create our function. Now we are used to the way of creating a function using the function keyword and the method name. But there's another way we can actually create our function without using function keyword by just declaring a constant variable. You can use constant or let of var keyword to declare a function using the arrow function method. So I'll declare a variable and call it get name input. So this is for that name input. Get name input keys. Then after that, we declare our arrow function in front of this equals to. You can see the way I declared it. Then after this bracket, you have your equal and your greater than arrow sign, then your bracket. So from here to this place is called arrow function. So this arrow function, any value, just like a normal function, the way I will be using it will be like a normal function, but this guy is actually called arrow function type of declaration. So now this is another function called get name input keys. So we want to be getting what the user is typing at every point in time. And how do we get that? So we'll be logging the data. So we use console log. And what is the data? So we have to add a particular ID to that input so that we'll be able to get it. Okay, we have name already there. There's an ID there already. So to get that name value, how do we do it? How do we get the name value in that input? The input value, how do we get it? Can someone tell us? Hello, someone should tell us how to get the value inside the name input. This value, how do we get it? From what we did yesterday. Hello, are we there? Are we forgotten? Hello?
You can write the document .get element by ID.
Then what would I put inside?
The ID name.
With name.
Yeah.
Okay, so what next? No, it's name we use for the ID for that name. This is it here. It's name we use. Then what will now be the next now? The next thing to add to this guy here. Dot value. That's what we did yesterday. You guys, you forgot it. So now dot value here. Then you want to be displaying the value in our console, and this guy will just be user. Let me just start something. User entries. Then we add our variable name here. So what we want to do with this method is this. anytime user is pressing key on keyboard at all, this method should be called. And let's just copy it, the name. Then we'll go to what's happening here. Okay, so we go to our inputs here. Then inside our input we can actually add an event. Let's use the normal way of adding events. Or okay, let's just put it here on click. Now we've been using on click, but the one we want to use now is on key. So we have on key down, on key press, and on key up. What's the difference between these events? Now when you use on key down, that means that when the user press the key down and hold it, that's on key down. Then on key press is when the user just press the key and hold it. Then on key up, when the user release the key, that's on key up. Why there is difference between on key down, on key press, and on key up. Though on key press and on key down they are almost similar, but the one we want to use now is on key up. So when the user is releasing his hand from the keyboard or from the key, we want to get the value the user enter. So we'll be using on key up here instead of on click now. Then we call our function name, which is get name input keys. Then we put our function stuff to it, which is a bracket. So anytime the user is on this input and is typing anything, we will always be getting the character the user is typing inside. So let's check it out. J, can you see that J there? A, B, you see that? You can see as the user is typing, we are getting each letter the user is typing in our input. Now most time this is what is being used to actually monitor what people type most time. Especially take for example, now there is this freelancing site like Core Fiverr. If you are dialoguing, like chatting with your clients or your clients on that particular platform, and you write anything that has to do, you are discussing anything that has to do with money, they will ban most of you from their platform. You won't be able to use the platform again. And how are they able to do it? How are they able to get that you're actually discussing something like that with someone? Is because anytime you are typing anything, there's a particular key or word they are looking for in your text, and once they're able to get that word in your text, they will run the algorithm to buy you from their site. So this is one of the things they use. Now another thing is to even detect a particular key when you press it. Now I've been entering all kind of key. Can you see that? Anytime I enter anything, it always updates that. It always call that method and updates it. Okay, now what I want to do now is that I want to know when the user press N as in space key. Now there is a character for our space key, and that one we actually call it a event of a thing. Oh, key event. So let's check that out and how we can achieve that. So we can put something here. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. I'm coming, please. Let's go then. Then we check. Oh, please permit me to use Google for this. I just forgot. Key events. This is what I'm looking for. Key code. So I'm looking for. Now there's a way you can actually get key code. Now this is our key code in JavaScript. We have different code for different keys on your keyboard, and you can use this key code to check which particular key the user press on their keyboard. Now you can see for backspace we have 8, and for tab we have 9. For enter key we have 13. For shift we have 16. For control we have 17. For alt key we have 18. For pause or break we have 19. You will see how we will use this guy in our code. I'm coming. Let me duplicate this guy. Oh my god. There's something I'm actually looking for. I want to get the key event. This is what I'm looking for here. Are we still together, please?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, I think I've gotten what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for here. You can see that events.key. That's what I'm looking for. They don't have much information here. Okay, this other information about different key. God. There's something I'm actually looking for. That is not there. Permit me a bit, please. There's something I'm looking for. Okay, I think I've gotten it. So what I'm actually looking for is this. Now, there's a when you are actually interacting with all these events method on your web page, they emit a particular event that you can capture in your function. Now here, when you look at this function here, now we are not actually getting any parameter, but there's a way we can capture that event that is being emitted from our keyboard in our function, our method. So to do that, you can actually declare a variable here, and I want to call the variable event. You can call it anything, and this event here now will be emitted anytime this function is called, and we'll now check for that event. Let's check for it first. Let me run it here and say if, or better still, let's just log it to know what code is the key that is being pressed on the keyboard. So let's say event key code. Then in front here, you have it to be event.key code. So this guy will actually log the type of key code that is being pressed. Then we can use that later to do something. Just take note of all this information. You might not use some of these things now, but you might need it someday. Okay, then here you put your event into it. Just put letter E there to capture it as event. All right, now let's check it out. You see, come back to error. Something went wrong. What is it? On course reference error, E is not defined at HTML input element dot on key up. So we found an error there. So what is happening? Let's check again. Let's just log the event, only the event, and run it. We are still getting error. E is not defined at HTML input element dot on key up. We're actually expecting this guy to pass a parameter to this our function, but it's showing error. Let's go back to where we declare it and call it event, because the time we call this function, we expect an event to be fired, and that event, okay, I think I've gotten it with that keyword event. Okay, it's working now. Very good. Now when I press a key on my keyboard, let me refresh it so that I can just press one. When I press enter key, now you see that something happened here, showing that what I've actually pressed something on my keyboard. Now let's analyze this guy. Now what I log is the event itself, and all these things you are seeing under this log, it means that you can call any of these key here to get the value of the event that I call, or to get the information about the event that I just event about the key that I press on my keyboard. Now you can see now the key code here is showing what this guy is showing enter, showing that what the key name that I press on my keyboard is what is enter key. And another information you will need for now, though these bubbles you don't need now, bubbles true, cancel bubble, you don't need all this one now. Is trusted, yes, no, you don't need that. So now you can see the key code here. Now key code is what you need, this guy is 13, and the key name is what enter. So to get this value now, what you just do, the event you log, that variable you log will now be dot anything you want to get here, dot key if you want to get the name of the key, dot key code if you want to get the code of the key, dot location if you want to get the location of the key. Any information you need, dot return value, anything you need here, you can always get it. And let's check it out again. Now when you see this tab we check out the other time, it shows us all the informations about the key code, about all the keys key code. Now let me try and press another key and let's check it out. So here I'm pressing space key. Now let's check for the space key. Now you can see now the code is what? Space. Let's look for key. Now here now the key is showing what? Just space. Now which means that at the beginning we are trying to use the event.key now to get the main key we press. For this one, it will be showing empty string because that's what actually enter into the what? Into our input, but not the name of the key. The one that is actually showing the name of the key is the code here. So which means that to get the name of that key, you use the event.code. And to get the key code, use the event.key code. So this is how you can access it. And if you press another one, this one is 32. Don't forget for the enter is 13. Let's compare with what we have here now. For enter key, for space key 32, which is the same thing with what we just got there now, and for the enter key 13, which is the same thing with what we got there now. So now let's check out how we can actually use this information. So now the issue I had the other time is because I put e here instead of the word of events. Event is a keyword, and when you use it with any of these event key here, it will put the event into the function. Then from our function, we've already declared a variable to collect that and call it event. You can call it anything. I can change this one to event name, but ensure where you'll be using it, where you'll be passing the parameter, you're using the word event and not any other thing here. But where you are declaring implementing the function here, you can use any variable name here. So I can use event name or event, and you can use normal e, honorary e, anything you want. You can use honorary e here, anything you want, just a variable name. So you can use it this way. Now to get the name of that key that is being pressed and the code itself, then I will now use e dot, just like we've seen it there, dot code will give us the name, and e dot key code will give us the code of the key. Don't forget, look at it here. This is the key code I'm accessing there, and this is the code I'm accessing here. Because the event that is being returned is an object of many keys and value. I hope that is clear now. All right, and the type of the event we just respond to now is key up event. Key up event. Don't forget that. All right, let's forget this shooting case. Now, when you see the way you said
this event space key code, that one we are going to use the event.
Yes, we don't need to be using the word event. You can, any variable you declare is what you use. Any variable you declare inside your bracket here is what you will use here to access the code or the key code. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because this one will return the object of information about that particular event for you, and you can access any of the key. To access any of the value, you just access any of the key, just dot any of this key, and you get your information. Is that clear? Even you can use type. E.type will give you the type of the event that occur, which is key up. Is that clear? So yes, now something I want to point our attention to quickly is when I was using this add event listener. The reason why I used this guy yesterday is because I don't want to declare on click. I want to show you another way of listening to an event without using on click or on key up in your HTML. You can actually access it from your JavaScript directly using this add event listener. Then you put the event name here and your function here. Now the difference between the two is this: when you are using it on your web page, this one must be on click, but when I'm using it with add event listener in my JavaScript, I remove the on word from it, remaining the click. So which means that on key up that we did, now if you want to use it with something like this, now we'll be doing, instead of writing on click up, on key up, what we did here is like this, on key up. Instead of using this guy, what you just do, you remove this on from the back, and what it will be key up. Mind you, when we were checking it here, you remember that the type is what? It's just key up, not on key up. So that's another information that you might need later. Okay, so let's try and use what we even Okay, let me run this guy again. Let me refresh it and try to get it. You can see that. Okay, now let me space. You can see this guy is giving us space, but something is not working. This guy is showing undefined. Why is showing undefined? The key code. The reason why it's showing undefined is because the key code is not actually in small letter together. The C here is capital letter, should be capital letter, and that's why we're getting undefined. So let's check it out again. Space. Can you see that? Space 32. Enter key. Is that enter 13? You can always see anything I press on my keyboard. Wait. Alright. You see that? You see that? All the key I'm pressing, you always see it there. You see that? You see that? Anything I'm pressing, you can always know it. Okay, so let's use this advantage of this thing now to do something. So I want to capture. Now I said here they should enter full name, right? So which means that I expect the person to type the first name first, then followed by the second name or surname. So I want to get the name to a variable differently, so individually rather. So I will declare two variables here, and I'll call the first one first name, and I will declare another one and call it last name. So after that, we now sorry, I'm coming. So we now use our if else condition here. If what? So we want to know when the user will be pressing space, because we know that by the time user is done typing one name, the user will want to press space to get the other to type the other name. So with that, we'll be able to get our first name. So let's write if key code equals to what's the key code for space now? 32 equals to 32. Then it should do what? It should get the value to the value of the first information to our first name. All right. S. Okay, what can we do now? Okay, let's check something. There's another information we can actually get from our event. For now, permit me to log this event again, because I actually want to know when the user will leave the inputs box, so that we can capture when the thing is unblocked. Let me say key code. But this one will still work anyway. So let's run it. Let's type something. Okay. So I want to check something here. Target type stamp view. We shift return true. Repeat. Meta key. Okay. Let's do something. Just the first name. That's what we want to get. Just the first name. And here, I'm not logging this guy again. I don't need it again. And here, I want to tell user something. Alerts. Hi. And the name of the first name. So let's check it out now. James. You see that? I. But we didn't get the value of that James. So something is actually wrong. Let's try and log the value we get here now. Let's log it to even see if the value is there at all. Oh, sorry, the reason why we didn't get the name is because this alert function is not expecting us to put two parameters into it, just like a log function. So it's expecting us to use a plus sign to concatenate our string and the variable together. I think that's what really went wrong. Let me type it again. Mark space. You can see that I mark. So it actually gets the first value for us. And maybe I want to add something to it. Mark John. And I leave the place. So which means that I can just get the first name, and why I didn't get the other one. But at the same time, you can still get the other ones, because by the time this guy is done typing, he just leave the input. There's another event that will tell you that this guy has already left this input to another place, and that event is called onBlur. So let's go back and check and add another event method to it. So we can have something like, instead of on key up, now we can have another thing called onBlur. So this onBlur will only return a value to us when the on key up now is whenever you are pressing a key on the keyboard, that's when the thing will be running. But onBlur is whenever you leave that input, that's when it will run the function. So let's check this out now. So this one might not work again because we are not always checking every time the user click a key on the keyboard. So onBlur now will return all the value we just enter. So it's different from onClick. You can't use onClick with this input self. So now onBlur, you want to get the value. Okay, let me use this guy here. Log. Are we still together, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Username, and this guy will now be name value. Okay, name value, and what is again? Okay, that's all. So let's check it out now. As I'm typing, you won't see anything. Even if I put space, you won't see anything. But let me just leave the inputs. Do you see that? You will see the values I've been typing there. So let's go back again. James Clark, and I leave the input. You can see that we just immediately get the value for me. So you can, this is how you can actually get anything user type in the input. And if user should go back and change the value to another thing, maybe James Clark, Mark, and leave again, you will still get the value again. So anytime user leave enter an input and leave an input, you always get the event, and that's what is that's why it's called onBlur event. All right, so I've shown you how to use on key up event to always get whatever thing the user is pressing, and you've seen onBlur now to get the value after the user leave the text box. And the other thing we want to do with that is to separate the value. Okay, this is getting interesting now. For this guy, I don't need it again. Let me just remove it. So what I want to do, I want to separate the value the user will be entering in the in our input box, text box rather. So how do I separate that? In JavaScript, there is a method called split. There's a method that separates your string into convert your string to an array of text. So let's check that out now. So we've gotten our value to be name value, and we'll be converting it to another thing. So let's say let new value to be equals to name value dot split. This split method will return array of all the words in our text or in our statement or in our string. So, and we'll be logging that guy here, new var. So let's see what will happen here. So we type something inside. James Mark error. new var is not defined. Okay, why is it not defined? This is new var now. Why is it not defined? I don't get. Oh, sorry, I used capital letter A here and I'm using small letter here. That's just what went wrong. Let's check it again. James. So you have to always look at your code carefully whenever you are seeing an error. You can see that James Mark, but funny enough, this guy returned everything as a single array, James and Mark as a single value, but we want to separate it. So how do you now separate this guy? Now we know that between James and Mark we have a space in between. So since we have a space in between, then we have something to separate it, and that will be what? Your space. Just put a space in between and that will separate it for you, and it will now be returning two array elements of value, which will be James and Mark. So James, Mark. Can you see that? 2 now. Instead of just single one, the thing return for us when we do not put the separating key or string in between this split method. So when you are using a splitting method, you have to tell the split method what to look for to separate your what's it called, your string. Take for example, if I want the split method to always separate this guy by comma. Take for example, I want to add comma to it, and I want to separate all these words anywhere it says comma from anywhere it says comma. Mark, and I say good, then job, and I have space again, and I have great, then comma, and I have Bera, and I have Peter, and that's it. Then I leave the page. Now what do you see here? We have 4 arrays. Now why do we have these 4 arrays? Is because we are actually separating anywhere we see space. We tell our function to what? To separate the next character to what? To the array as a new value. Now the first one, there's no space between James, Mark, good, and job, so it actually sees them as a single word. Then immediately after this job, there's a space before great, and it takes this great to be what? Another one. Between great and better, there's a space. Between better and Peter, there's a space, and that's why it's separated. Now if you want to separate by comma now instead of space, just go back to your code here, change this guy to comma here, and save it. Then let's run it. Let me just copy this guy so that I won't be typing it again. Let's refresh this page and let's paste and check that. Do you see that? It actually separated all the ones that have the commas, and all the ones that have space. They are together as a single word. So this is how you can use your split method to split a string of text to different value in array. Then you cannot access it differently now. Just imagine I'm expecting two name here, first name and last name, James, Mark. You understand? And I'm separating with sorry, let me go back. We are separating with a space. So which means that the first one in our array should be let me type something else, Peter, Mark. So this Peter, Mark return 2 array now. So the first array is what? Peter, the second one is Mark. So to access it now, I will now say my first name now. First name will be equal to new var index 0. That's the first one. That's my first name, and the last name now will now be new var index 1. Index 1, and that will be what's it called? That will be our last name. So let's check it out. Peter, Mark. Do you see that? We have I didn't log it. Let me log the first name and the last name. First name, last name. David, Mark. Can you see that? David, Mark. He has gotten the first name and the last name for us. But another thing you have to be aware of is this: there will be a problem if the user starts this place with a space. So if the user starts with a space before writing the first name, let's see what will happen. Did this place, the thing will turn to 3 array, and the first array will now turn to, let me turn this guy back to our new var. So let's see what happened. If the user should start with a space before typing his or her name, David Mark, what will happen? Now we are having 3 array here. Why? Because we are separating with a space. So it sees the first space as an array, the second one as an array, and the third one as an array. Okay, what if the user now puts even maybe many spaces here itself? Now let's check it out. You can see we have 19 array. He actually counted all those spaces as a value in our array, which is not right. But there is actually another way to filter out all these empty space in our string. So there's a JavaScript function we can use for that. Sorry. Before you split, you first call that function. Dot. My father. I nearly forget this guy. Sorry, I'm coming. I'm trying to remember this guy. I just forget now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Please pardon me. Just give me some seconds to remember the function to remove any string from the side. Append. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry. Please, in order not to waste our time, anytime I remember, I will give us the function. There's a function we can actually use for that. Okay, sorry. We have Google with us. Let me just use Google. So just type JavaScript method to remove extra space. So remove extra space. Trim, yeah, correct. This one I'm actually trying to remember. So you use the trim method first. So the trim method will remove any space around your text, around your string. Then after that, you can apply your split methods to it. So let's check it out again. Please, are we still together?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll first add a space, 2 spacing, then before typing the word David and Mark. So let's check it out. You can see that we are still having what? 2 array, even though I added 2 spacing before typing David, and before the thing would have given us like 4 array of with 2 empty value. So now let me put spacing between David and Mark. I'll see what will still happen. Another space in front. Okay, we run to problem. The only problem that trim solve for us is just removing the space before our test and after our test, but the space in between, this guy couldn't capture it, which is a trim. He couldn't remove the space between. He can only remove the space from the front and from the back, that's the left and right, but in between he can't remove the spacing. How do we now deal with this? Because the reason why we're actually dealing with this is this: by the time you are take for example, you are trying to get, user can be funny, they can enter anything to your input, and you are trying to use this data to populate your database, and maybe you always think that, okay, user will always enter first name and the last name in the input, and you are not getting index.0 just like we did here, .0 and .1, which this one now means that with this information now, the first one you get it correctly, which will be David, but the next one you get empty string, and you now be wondering, why is this guy empty? But you are expecting user to type the last name next, but the user is typing, just put double spacing before typing the next one, so you get empty string instead of getting mark. So that's what we are trying to avoid in this guy. But there's another way of removing a space from your array. Are we together? Hello, are we still friends?
Yes, sir.
Okay. From array. There's another way of removing it from array. Blank spaces. Now, you can still use the trim method. Though there's another way I used to do this without using that trim method with array, but I just want us to, I don't want to go far with this thing so that we will not get confused. So now, which means that after we've done this, we are through with this one. We can still use that trim on our new value again to remove all those empty value from our arrays. So this will be new value dot trim method. So let's check it out and see if it will actually remove those guys. So I'll type multiple space, then David, then multiple space, then John. I think, sorry, let me do something so that we know what we enter first before we even see. Let me call this guy here. So before we trim our array, this will give us the value of the new value, and after we trim the new value array, this will give us the second one. Let me just change this one to array. Anyway, trimmed array, pure array. Please just permit me with those words just for us to differentiate. Sorry. Alright, let's start again. Multiple space, David, multiple space, then John. Error. Now we got 8 value in our array, which is not correct. But for the trim one, he's saying something. On core type error, new value dot trim is not a function. Why? Let's check it. Okay, now the reason why that guy is saying that it's not a function is because he's not actually expecting us to use this guy on an array. I guess that's why the thing was actually saying that you can only use trim function on a string and not on array. So which means that this guy here, their method here, what they are saying here is wrong, and that's to let you know that it's not everything you see on Google that is actually correct. Is that clear? Hello. So now, at least you've learned that. Now, some of you just brought something and you copy it. Another thing you have to learn in as a developer is to actually know which answer is wrong and which answer is correct. Let me even show us our Stack Overflow. I think this one will be better. Now, one of the best sites for developer is this Stack Overflow. All the problems you might even encounter, all the problems you even encounter in your development, let me say 90% of it has been solved by someone, or many people have encountered the same problem and they've solved it. So now look at this guy here. This Stack Overflow, it contains all the information, all the problem and solution you can ever think of. So now someone have already has gotten that kind of problem before, and this is his question: remove space at beginning of each array element here. Okay, that's the question. Now let's see answers. Then this question has how many answers? 6 answers, and Stack Overflow marked this guy to be correct. Mind you, sometimes the marked answer might not actually work for your own problem if you don't have the same problem. And this guy also have other answers. Now look at another answers here. This is another person's answer. Then this is another person's answer. This is another person's answer, and this is another answer. You can see, and if answer is helpful to you, then you vote the person up or down if the answer is not good and the answer is very bad. So you can see this one have a 23 score because the answer is actually helpful to about 23 people, and this other one, this answer is helpful to another person, about 11 people. So which means that for those people that are voting for this other guy, it means that this solution doesn't really work for them, and that's why they have to leave this guy here and Oh my goodness, look at the way this guy did it. It is there. Okay, now when I see this solution now, I'm actually laughing, right? Because this method this guy used here will not always work. This one, this guy here, this method he used here will not always work, and that is why you have to understand what you're actually doing before copying code and using a code. Okay, that means we have to use another method that I've actually been avoiding. So now look at this guy now. This hello trim here will only trim off this space before the hello word here, and that's what this one is working for or perfectly for. So in our case now, this solution will not work for us. Even though they mark it to be right, to be correct, it will only be correct to this question, but in our case it won't work for us. How do I know? Because I know it will not work. So now let's solve it in our own way. I don't want to go far, but it seems that we have to go a little bit. Are we still together? Are we still friends? Hello? We are still friends. Okay, thank God. Glory be to God. So you cannot use string method or function on an array. You can only use it on a string. So that's why it's not working and it's throwing an error. So how do we go about it now? Alright. Now array has a lot of method you can use to manipulate information inside it. And the other time we use for loop, but this time I won't be using for loop. There's a method called map and there's a method called filter. But the one we want to use now is filter. So we already know that what is being returned here is an array. Now mind you, we didn't declare this guy to be either array or no array initially. We just declare it and we perform this operation on it. But we know that this split function will always return an array, and that's why this guy is an array. Alright, so let's move on now. I will not write new value dot feeder. Now this our feeder method. Now you can what you pass to this guy is just a return what is called arrow function. That's what you pass into it. So you declare your arrow function inside it. Remember, your arrow function will always start with this bracket. Then the next one is what? Your equals to and the greater than sign. After that, your bracket. Okay. So now this your arrow method, we have a parameter, and that parameter will always be what this array, the value in this array returns. So in this case now, I will now type new value dot filter, then let me say value. So each value inside my array is what will be put here, and I can do anything I want with it. Then I will return any value. Let me say if. Now we'll now use our if else condition. If the value is equals to empty string like this. Okay, sorry, it's not equals to, rather. If the value is not equal to empty string, then what should happen? Then it should return the value. And let's we might have another character that is not actually okay. Let's leave this one. Or what if it's a null? If it's a null value or undefined value, so you can add another condition to it. And if the value is not equals to null, and the value is not equals to undefined, because there are many times that you can have undefined in your value or null. So if the value is not equal to empty string and it's not equal to null and it's not equal to undefined, then return the value. This return keyword means that what our filter method will save this value and return it to any variable we assign it to. And what variable are we assigning it to now? We now assign it to let's declare another variable here. Let's filter array, that's our variable name now, equals to this guy. So this filter array now will get all this value we are returning here now as an array. So let's check it out now. We log this filter array now as our new array. Are we still friends? If it's not clear, you let me know. So let's check it out now. Where is it? I'll copy this guy again. I don't want to be typing and typing. Alright, so let me leave it. Can you see that? Hello, can you see the result? Is it correct or not correct? Hello, anybody with me here? Hello, are we there?
It's correct.
Oh yeah, clap for me first. Everybody clap for me. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, you can see that when we look at the Stack Overflow where we think there will be a solution, but there's no solution fitting for what we want to do. And now, one thing about programming is this: always know what a particular thing does, so that the time you will need it, you know how to get a solution. And another thing you have to have at the back of your mind is that in programming, we have many solutions to the same problem, which means that we can solve the same problem in different ways. You can see another person using another method to solve this problem, it will still get the same result. But I think this is actually cool enough for us. Do we understand what we did here now, or is anybody getting confused or what? If you are confused, just let me know. These people are too gentle tonight. Oh, Princess, is it clear? Is it clear?
It's clear.
Thank God. Glory be to God. Okay. Let me assume everybody get it clear. Alright, now, so let me explain once again. When you declare your input and you want to get a value from your input feed, you don't trust your user. Don't trust user. User can do anything with it. User can even enter any character, though we'll be getting to database SQL injection later. User can put anything in this space. Funny enough, some user can even put a code. They can write a code inside your input. And if your backend, you don't validate the value you are getting, you put a wrong code into your database, and that can mess up your database completely. And most time that's kind of things that hackers normally use sometimes ago to actually have access to database. They will just write one funny code in your input, and if you don't do your validation very well, that code will run in your own backend code and it will mess up the whole website. So that's why validation is always good when you are actually designing a form. So which means now we have solved our problem. No matter how user will put a space in the stuff, we know that we always get the main word and all the space will be removed. You can see that this is what normally we should get, but after we apply our filter method to it, we're able to remove all the spaces and get the main word. Alright, glory be to God. So that's how you can do that. I think I should leave this guy now. So with that, now we can successfully now assign our, now this is our new filter array now. So instead of using new value for this guy now, it will be our filtered array now we'll use for this guy now to assign the first name and the last name. So that's all right. So the other method you can use on your array aside the filter method, we have map array, but we don't really need what we can use map for now. That's why I'm not using it. Okay, I think we are through with this guy here. Which other thing can we do with our inputs? We've already done the on key up, we've done on blur, we've done on we can use on click on this one. Okay, another event I want us to know is change. I remember while I was working with a startup fintech then. So the guy that was, because I was handling their back end, so I didn't actually touch anything in the front end. So the guy that was handling the front end for them, there's something the CEO was complaining about the form input to the guy. When you copy the phone number and you put the phone number in the test feed, you have to delete the last number and add it again before the input will be able to capture your pasted phone account number. So this guy was saying that he's not comfortable with that can't we just detect the change in the input anytime the user just copy and paste the the account number, and you run what you want to run with that. So and this guy, I think at the point he was like he didn't even know what to do to get that one done. So I have to be telling the guy that okay, this is the event you use to actually get that particular thing done in your form input. So we'll try it out now. All right, so instead of using unblock, because in that case unblock will not work. Unblock will be till you leave the input, and when you are using on key up, that will be as you are typing. Now when you are using key up now, you can actually count, because you know that all account number is just 10 digits, so you can be counting. When the number gets to 10, then you run your code. Take for example, now let's quickly try that one before we do what I want to do. So we've done on, okay, let me create another function instead of this guy, get input, or let me just comment this guy out. I'll comment it later. Okay, so what we want to do is that I want to count we want to count the length, the character the user is actually typing in the input, and once it gets to a particular number, we want to do something. Okay, so let's say get name input keys, and you want to count it. We are using this guy here. So now we'll now say log. So input string length. And here now we'll now be putting the length of the character that the user is typing there. Excuse me. So now mind you that when you want to check the length of an array or a string, you can always use your length method there. Having the length, it will return the length of the character anytime the user is typing it. I want to add another if condition here, that if the length of the input character is equals to 10, then it should display something to for the user. Alert, just a sample code that should run. Alert user that what account number is correct. So then we put the value now. We display value now for the user. Okay, so now mind you that we can't use unblock with that kind of event you want to capture. We have to change this guy to on key up. Okay, so after that, what else do we want to do? Okay, I think that's all. So let me check it out now. So I'll be entering 1 2 3 here. Let me enter my account number so that you guys will send me money. 5064122456. Can you see that account number is correct? So which means that as you are typing your account number, it will be counting it, and once the account number reach the maximum length, it will just trigger the function that will perform your transaction, what you want to do with that account. So that's how it's been done on that input. But now this is how the guy implemented his own. But the guy has forgotten that someone can actually copy account number and paste it without typing it. So how do you capture that? Then we use another event called on change instead on key up. Where is this guy? Okay, on change. So on change means that anytime the value inside the input is has changed, then the thing should trigger the function. So now I will just type something somewhere, probably here, and copy it. Sorry, this is not my account number. I'm just typing. It's not my account number. Okay, how many value here? 5064844565. I think it's more than 10. Okay, this is 10 now. So let's copy it and paste it. Can you see that? Immediately it captured it. And if the thing is not up to 10, probably you just copy something like it's less than 10, that code will not trigger. It won't trigger. You can see that it will trigger our function, but the code will not run because it's not up to 10. But if the thing is now up to 10, and you paste the whole 10 character code inside there, it will trigger the part of the code. Now this is what the CEO was expecting the guy to do on that form feed, but I don't know, probably the guy has not heard about this particular event before and they couldn't use it. So you have to learn about all these events. There are many. Just at your leisure time, you can go to mozilla.developer.com to check out other events that you can always use in your code. Are we still friends, please? Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you can move on now. Let me comment this guy out then. What is this? Is so we're working on? Yes, it is. Okay, so we've already used on change, on blur, on key up. You can play around with on key down, on press, and the rest. Then there's another one we even use called unload. Now unload is being used for a page. Like if take for example now the page is loading, when someone is just opening the page for the first time and you want to display something before the page is loaded, you can use unload or on page loaded. Then we can also, if someone is leaving the page, like I don't know if you have encountered a scenario whereby you want to leave a particular web page and they display a message for you that do you really want to leave. So there are other events that captures that too. Let me see if we can get that event. And okay, there's no need of putting it in our what's it called, there's no need of putting it in our div tag, so we can just capture that in the document dot add event listener. Now these documents now that I'm not actually using get element by id before adding it will actually be for the whole page. So now what type of events am I trying to add here? We have many events. Load. Let me look at it from this guy here. I will see the suggestion from our code. Where is it? Okay, let me just put it here. On now you can see many of them on key play, on blur, on context, on drag, on drop. That's if you are using a drag and drop event in your web page. On empty, on ended, an error, on focus. Now thank you. This remind me something of something. On focus, let's use this on focus first. We need it. Do we need that on focus? On focus. Okay, let me just explain it. Now this on focus event here, what you need it for is when you want to know if someone has actually clicked on something on your web page. Like when this user click on this place or scroll to this place, that will be on focus now. So you can use that on focus to do anything in particular in your web page. I've forgotten where I use this focus to do something. Form change, form input, on invalid. So when the user enter invalid stuff and you want to display something for that person, say for example you are expecting a number and user is entering a letter, so you can use on invalid to actually trigger that event. Unload, this is the one I'm talking about the other time. I was talking about rather. Unload starts on mouse down, mouse up. I'm actually looking for a particular one. On play, on pointer leave. This on pointer leave, you can also use it for these our hover effects. That's what they actually use for the hover effect. When you move your mouse on a particular element, so that's on pointer enter. And when you remove your mouse from it, that will be on pointer leave, and the rest. And when you leave your mouse on it, that will be on pointer lock change. And we have many of them there. On read change, on select, on seek. Now this on select event, you can use this on a type of input called select. There's a type of input called select. You can use that one for on this on select for it, and that on change, on submit, on wait. Now this on submit, you can use this on submit event for your form button when the type is submit. So that means that whenever you click on submit button in your form, it will trigger this event on submit event. On show on waiting. Let's use this on end. unended. Okay, this unended is actually used for if you are trying to play a video or you are playing an audio in your web page and you want to know when the video audio ended. That's when you use unended. It should be this guy, unloaded. Okay, so it depends. Also, I finished loading. Alright, let's just leave this event and move on to other things tonight. Hello, are we still together? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So tonight we successfully do what is called events in HTML and JavaScript. But lest I forget, let me quickly do that for us because I might forget that. And that is how to remove a class and add a class. How to remove a class and add a class, and we'll be doing that shortly. Okay, let's go up here. We have our form. Where's our form? Okay, we have our form here and we have our form area here, and we want to add a class that will change the background color of this form area, and we'll also be removing the class. So what we'll do is this: we'll go to our CSS here and we'll write a class name, and the class name will be add color, and the background will be red. Okay, so now let's go back to our JavaScript. So here now we already have our class name here, form area, which means that we can access this place with our JavaScript. Then we'll go to our code. Should we use a function so that when you click it, we just do it? Yes, let's use a function. So I want to use an arrow function, constant change color. You can call it anything you like over there, and then my stuff. Alright, so this guy now, which is the class name, I'll now use declare my variable. Let's form area variable equals to document dot get element by class name, not by ID this time around, by class name, and I put the class name inside. Alright, and after that, I will now use my variable, which is form area, then dot class name equals to that CSS we just added there, the class selector we just added there. That will be add color. We still remember this guy, add color, the one we just added in our CSS here is add color. Let's go back. So where do you want to use this guy? Change color. Let's add a click event to somewhere in our code. Where can we put the click event? Where can we put the click event? Okay, there's a function we wrote yesterday to actually check the password if it's wrong or right. So let's go there and put our function there. Change image, get user input. Anyway, we don't have that function there again. Okay, this is it. Give the password. This photo document. I'm sorry, we don't have that function again. Alright, no problem. Let me just call it here. Okay, let's put it somewhere here. Whenever we click on this guy, you should change on click. Then you should call our method there. So that's the first password input. On click, you should change the background to red. Refresh this guy here. Sorry, you can't use on click on inputs. Please pardon me for that. I want to use something like on click on key up. it's not working. It's not working. So what is happening? Let's go back to our code. Change color. I'll key up change color. How is the change color method? Change color, this is it. And S again. Form area document dot get element by class name form area. Then form area dot class name equals to add color. This should add it. Oh, is it not the same thing? Add color. Add color is the same thing. It should be right. So let me check it again. Is this function even working? Let me log something. I work. At least to know if the function is working or not. Okay, the function is working, just that is our code that is not working. So how do we make this guy to work now? Form area. Hello, are we still together? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Thought we've slept. Ah, Father of Grace, sorry, I'm actually thinking on what is going wrong here. I'm coming, just a moment, please. My God. Okay, I think I'm actually the one that is using the wrong thing there. So to add a class, you don't this will not work. So what you use, there is another keyword that is called class list, and a word and a method you call with that will be dot add. Yep. And you put your class, the class you want to add, into it and save it. The guy is not working yet. Cannot read property of undefined. Oh my, oh. I think I wrote class. Okay, now let's put an ID, use an ID instead of the class class name. Probably that's what is messing us up there. ID and call it form F area. And let's go back. And this guy will be in get elements by ID. Form area. Then yeah, it worked. So the reason why that guy is not working is because we're actually using class name to select the area in our web page. So but when we change to an ID, it actually helps us to select it. Hello, are we together? Hello. All right. So do we get what we are trying to do here?
Yes, sir, but the class list is for what?
The class list. Okay, so there's nothing like so add here. You can always log any information to see what is there. So let's log form area so that you will be able to see it. Form area. Now this is what is inside the form area. Do you see that? session class form area id. Just return that guy to us. Now the class list not as of now, we'll not include it there. Dot class list, it will list all the class in that section of our code.tag. Can you see the DOM element here? So it just lists the class for you. Do you get it? So that's the essence of using class list. It will list the class, the class associated with that tag, or with that with that tag element in your web page. And mind you, the ID here is associated with our session area here. Our session area. Can you see the session tag here? And this is our ID. So when we use get element by ID, it will return this tag to us. And now to access the classes that we've already defined on this tag, it will return all this class here. And we have how many classes? We just have one, form area, and that's what you are seeing here, form area, and that's why the array is 1. Now take for example, now if you have another one, maybe you added another class to it by space, another, let me just call another class, just something like that, and you have another one btn. So this shows that what you have 3 classes in this on this session tag. So let's check it out and see what happened. Just type something here. Can you see that it has what list out all the classes you have on that tag element in your web page. Then you can now use the add method word to add another class to it, and you can use remove to remove from it. Are we still friends?
Yes, sir.
So to remove now, you just use the word remove. Probably I want to remove that form area now. What I will just do, okay, maybe I'm not even adding anything to it again. Okay, let me just add that guy to it. Then I will remove the form area itself. Let's say form area, this is the name of the class, and this add we change to remove. This guy, everything has scattered because I've removed the class that actually styled that area of our code, and I added the one that just add only the background color red to it. Exactly. So this is how we can use JavaScript to add a class and to remove a class from our code. Take for example, we want to add a particular place in our code, and we don't want to be using display null .style.display null. We can use this method to just create. You just create a class here. You can call the class show. It's just be a generic class. So this show class, sorry, what am I typing? This show class here will now be display block. Then you can even have, because there are some places that you are still using flexbox, and if you are changing it to block, it will not work very well again. So you can have another class called show flex. So you know that this one will always be, you will be using this one to display flex. Then if you want to use inline flexing and the rest, you can have other class for it. And to hide it, just use hide and display will now be no. Do you get that? Now let's go back to our code and use it. Where is our code there? So now whenever we click on that input button, you want to remove want to add the class called hide, and you know what is inside the hide. It will change the display to no. Where is it going? Okay, so let's just type something here. You can see that it has hidden it. You can't find it again. And if you want to show it again, probably we want to create another function. Let's create another method that we will use to add a class back whenever we click on another thing. So this guy, will just copy this guy. Yes. and this guy, because we've already declared it here, we can't use it again. I'll just call it show class, anything. So then this guy will now be show. Okay, so now where do I want to call this show class? Now I will call it in our button, like our navbar button. So I'll just go up and call it there. You click on that navbar button, it should do something. Oh, there's something on it already. Change image. Okay, we are not using change image for now. I want to use it to show that guy. All right. Okay, so you can see we have it here, and when we click on it, it's hide it for us. We can't see it again. Let's click on this button. Now when I click on this button, you are actually expecting it to show, but it will not show again. Sorry for that. The reason why it will not show again is this: when you are using display null, it will the browser will actually hide that particular element from your DOM, from your web page, and you won't be able to access it with your JavaScript again. And that's another thing you have to be very careful with. I remember there was a time I was doing something on Angular framework, and in that input I want to add something from user. Until user fulfill a certain condition, that's when the user will be able to see the next thing to do. So in that case, I was like, what can I use to do that? Now when I was using display null is actually removing the whole element tag from my HTML, so I can't use JavaScript to access that DOM again. So I have to find another way of disabling that particular input without using display null. You get it now? So in this case now, I will not advise you to be using JavaScript, this type of method we just use now, to be hiding your element, because you won't be able to see it again. So the only way to show that guy again is to use what's it called? You can't even use anything again because it has been totally removed. You won't be able to see it again. So that's just it. The only thing you can do is to use your styling method to bring it back to life by calling that particular styling. Now take for example, now I know that this what is there now, show is what hide is what is there as a class. So what I can do now is to remove it. So I will just say remove. Am I even correct? I guess I'm wrong. Sorry, pardon me please. I think actually what I explained the other time is not wrong, it's actually correct, but I think I'm doing something wrong here. We have to remove this guy first before we add the next one to it. I expect it to work. Remove the hide first. So the way the display null works, you have to actually understood the way I've explained it. Let's check it again, and let's click it again. I think it's back. Yeah, it's back. So now if you want to do this guy, now you have to first remove this hide class you had to it before you had the show class to it. The reason why it was not working before is just because we didn't remove this hide and we are adding show to it. So this hide is still active while we are still adding show to it. That just is. Sorry, because of our time, I would like us to close the class now. Why I will be doing other videos on every other thing that we have to work on. If not because of our time and some other things, this is what I really intend to do with us. We have components here. The components we will be creating, but nonetheless, I will try and create a video on all these components and how we can do it with JavaScript. You can see accordion and last card. We've done this flat list, glass morphism, then list, loader, modal, pneumorphism, and this slider. I think we've done the slider, though I didn't do it in such a way that is fancy anyway. So any question? Hello, any question?
Well done, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You did great tonight.
Thank you, sir.
God bless.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, what you just said now about the ones that we didn't do because of time. Video is not even the main thing. The most important thing is watching you navigating to components from one to
Yes, 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 you are right. Very correct.
And I think if you can, if you
Create a
can
time.
just fix the date, maybe Saturday or whatever, before Monday, to do with people that are serious with you.
And
Whatever it will be, just
no problem. We'll think on that. We'll see how we can do that. And I don't know if other people here are actually supporting that. Anybody
Yes,
supporting?
but
Okay, support that. Nice. That's nice then. Okay, you're encouraging me. We can have that class. Let's see how it goes on Saturday. All right. So do you
so
get
how can we use toggle instead of add and remove? Can we also use toggle for it?
toggle what?
Like for the class list.
Yes. I didn't get you. Like
Instead
to
of using add and remove, can we use toggle?
toggle keyword.
Yes.
Yes, you can use toggle. You can use toggle keyword. Now, toggle is another function in the JavaScript that you can actually use to hide or remove. Hide or remove. For that hide in this particular one that we did now, you can use toggle to add, and you can also use toggle to remove. So when you click at it, when you click on it or you run it the first time, the toggle will perform probably adding, and when you click on it again and run it again, it will perform removing. So you can use toggle. So it will now be class list dot toggle. All right. All right. See you next time, please. Have a wonderful night rest.
Sir.
And we'll be having our JavaScript task either tomorrow, next tomorrow.
Tax.
Yes, assignment.
Okay.
why not tonight?
Not too nice, sir. All right.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Sir, please can you put on this thing to do list or local storage?
Oh, should we do it this night?
No.
Uh-huh.
Not this
Just
time.
remind me, probably on that Saturday, remind me. It's not something that is hard. Just remind me.
Alright, sir.
No problem. You're welcome. All right. Mr. Adeyemi, I didn't hear your voice. So, all right, later. I'm damn tired. Like, seriously tired.